Welcome to another episode of No Investment Advice. We got Jack Butcher in the place in the new location. What's happening, dude?
Yo, Jack, where are you? Tell the audience where you are right now. Where are you?
Miami, Bitcoin Week, on the ground reporting MIA.
Did you bring the media pass?
NIA and MIA. Come on, bro. Are you going to miss that?
How did I miss it?
Go on.
We want to hear from that. And then we also got Trung Phan, right out of the hustle, regular on CNBC, fresh off the circuit. So CNBC.
No, but guys, we need to talk about this. You know how you speak things into existence? We literally spoke me becoming a regular on CNBC to existence. So for those that are counting, me, that's 3 times now. I'm going back on tonight. So 4 times on CNBC, which all started as a joke. And no, it's funny, man. You just put it out there as a massive kind of meme joke, and you get people to laugh about how you will never get asked back on. And then when you get asked back on, everybody gets to be on the joke. And I wore a fucking Tommy Bahama shirt yesterday. I can tell you this: I'm the first Vietnamese North American to ever wear a Tommy Bahama shirt on CNBC. That is one of one. And someone needs to NFT that. That has never happened before. Yo, actually, I've been thinking about this. I don't want to pump my tires too much, but I'm gonna do it. There's 100% chance I'm the only Vietnamese American that's been on CNBC and on the middle class fancy Instagram feed, the meme feed. So I
haven't seen this. Wait, what was the middle class fancy? You got share your screen.
That's part of the Shithead Steve meme network. Those guys do that funny, the Doing Things Media. It's got like 3 million followers. I did the stupid the can opener meme I did. Anyway,
yeah.
Guys, right. I'm just trying to demonstrate versatility here. NIA is all about versatility.
All right, so you're going on tomorrow. Jack, what's going on in Miami? You just literally got there. And first of all, for people who are listening, we got to say, big up Jack, because he's brought his mic with him. Look at the setup right now.
I got pulled over by the TSA for this.
Yeah.
Wait, are you serious?
Show him the mixer.
Yeah.
Show him the mixer.
Yeah. Look, check it out.
Yo,
what the hell is this?
If you're listening to this audio, Jack has like some like rapper studio equipment that he brought. I mean, dude, honestly, how much is that mic and how much is the mixer?
So I bought this for a car commercial I was recording in 2019, and it's just like left in the cupboard, and I took a picture of all this stuff and posted on Twitter. I was like, does anybody know if I can make any of this stuff work for a podcast? This is like $2,500 worth of gear. That's
amazing.
I don't even
was it worth it for your did the car commercial?
Didn't even use it.
Didn't use it?
No.
Damn, dude.
Yeah.
All right, fair enough. Well, at least we get to use it now.
Right, Jack, what's the temperature in Miami like? What not literally weather temperature, but like what's going on the ground? Like, because it's crazy on Twitter for people following. Like, there's mad stuff already popping.
Okay, let's have Jack walk us. Okay, so Jack, can you actually walk us through a couple things? I want to get through the minutia of what's going on here. First of all, you need to talk the listeners through how you convinced your wife that you guys just had a kid, the kid's less than 4 months old, to leave to go to Miami, where presumably you're going to be doing some Miami related stuff. And so how did you convince her? I want to know. I want to hear this convo. And we should actually get Celia on the podcast next episode to talk about how awful the 3 days it was for her while you were gone. Because I have a story with my wife when I bounced when we had a newborn. She was not happy. So why don't you tell us?
By the way, real quick, I have to say, Cecilia's probably watching this. So
yeah. She will be.
Okay, so Jack, talk it through.
Well, it's work, man. It's work. The land of opportunity, the magic city. Lots of opportunities happening here at the moment. No, there's been like, I was on the fence about it for a long time. Got a bunch of messages from people that I've been either like loosely working with, or like a few of the people that have been in the NFT world reached out, like going to be in Miami, got hosting an event or something else. So an efficient way to meet a couple dozen people in a couple days rather than spread it all out. That was my
You framed it as work.
It is work.
You framed it as work.
Okay. Okay, but we need to hold on. I want to talk. Listen, a lot of listeners are presumably in relationships, and they're going to get a kick out of the negotiations that go on here. So, in a relationship, it's like those Street Fighter bars, right? Each fighter has a bar of health, right? And then every time you make an ass like this, that bar goes down. Like, I know you're calculating in your head. You're like, fuck, this is a massive ask. This is an expensive ask. You know that someday down the road, you're going to have to pay this ass back. I'm not saying that this is necessarily your relationship. Anybody that's in a relationship knows when you make an ass like this, you're going to be gone for 3 or 4 days and then leaving a newborn with just one of the parents. Bro, that's a big ask. Yeah, did this go through your head?
I mean, maybe not as cynically as that, but yeah, it's definitely... I definitely recognize the debt that I have created for sure.
Well, actually, that's not true because there is no debt. You guys are in a relationship together. You're life partners. This is just you're holding each other up. Is the real way to look at it.
Well, yeah, debt is a cynical word to use. I would say like she will deserve a break after this. That's a fair way to say.
Absolutely. So, I mean, I'm not saying that in my relationship there's a number counter of how many days that we've left the other person with the kid. There's a number counter.
On the fridge.
Yeah. What's your
first? Fridge. When did you do it first, Trung? How old was it?
It was 8 months. My kid was 8 months old. So this is a longer story, but I went to Japan. We'll just tease people. My great grandfather is just a fucking total savage. He was a anti-French nationalist, and one of the things he did in the early 1900s is he went to Japan to literally try to secure weapons because Japan was the rising power in Asia, and he wanted to help get the Japanese help to overthrow the French in Vietnam. Ended up never happening with the Japanese because it turns out that Japan just wanted to take over Asia for itself.
History Professor Trung is back.
But the reason I went to Japan and the reason why I convinced my wife that it was okay to go, it was a 100th year anniversary of my great grandfather going to Japan. He essentially established like modern day relations between Vietnam and Japan. So it was like a big ceremony. We ended up visiting the Emperor's Palace. It's a fucking story, bro. So we can get into that another time. But that, it wasn't the work side. It was more I had to play like to my wife, I'm like, this is history. You gotta let me do history, right?
Yeah, almost as historically relevant as Bitcoin Week in Miami.
No, dude, you have 2 cards. You have the work and history card. I only had the history card. All right, so now
Trunk's in the Wikipedia page for that part of the granddad's Wikipedia page.
All right,
boys. So real talk though, Jack, all jokes aside, so you're going to meet people there. For people who aren't following this, like what's actually happening in Miami this week?
So there's I don't actually know the official agenda, but I think there's a 2-day conference, Friday, Saturday, which has like, I think Saylor is speaking at it, Nick Szabo, like a lot of like Bitcoin OGs, and Floyd Mayweather, I think just got on the bill there. There's also like a ton of projects with like, people launching Citycoin. Did you hear about that yesterday? So this is a new project where like I could go into a bunch of depth about the technology, but basically a lot of projects wait for this week to come and announce it with the critical mass, the crowd, the ability to...
It's like demo day at YC, right?
Yeah,
I
was thinking like South by Southwest, but for like crypto stuff. Bitcoin.
So what's Citycoin?
People at one point.
What's Citycoin?
Yeah, what is Citycoin?
So Citycoin is built on I may get some technical details wrong, but Citycoin is built on Bitcoin, and there's this protocol that sits on top of Bitcoin called Stacks, which makes Bitcoin programmable. And in the same way that like Ethereum has this like much more malleable code structure to like spin up new coins, Citycoin, the first one they're launching is Miami, and you're going to be able to stake Citycoin to get yield, and 30% of that yield goes to the city of Miami treasury. And the thought behind the project is at a certain point that reaches critical mass, and they actually like pick that up and spend it. So if you're in San Francisco and you like the future outlook of Miami, you can bet some capital on the future of Miami.
Oh man, Suarez.
Suarez really pulling it out there. That's sick.
No, that's smart, right? Because we've been obviously talking about Ethereum a lot. You guys talked about how you got into it and the rationales behind it. So its big calling card against Bitcoin is it's a computer, right? It's like Turing complete. You can do anything. But now the Stacks thing is pretty genius if it can actually work. Although it sounds like to me that it sounds like the whole point of Bitcoin is that you shouldn't even really be able to do something like this, or because it feels like it would take away from the real immutability of Bitcoin. I don't know if that's true, but it feels like one reason why Bitcoin is so thought of and perceived as a store of value is you can't fuck around with it, right? There's nothing else you can do with it, and that's assigns a value.
Yeah, I think the thesis that I've heard is like this is like the base layer of the monetary system is Bitcoin, and then if these compatible layers are built on top, built like this Stacks project, I think has been around for a few years now, and it began with apps. So like apps built on top of Bitcoin. And now I think with the way the market is behaving, it's like these apps kind of just become these little currencies themselves. It's like you want to invest in something that has like a new incentive structure. So I think, I think it'll be interesting. Suarez, I don't think he's officially involved in it, but he retweeted it and he's pushing it. So it's his treasury is about to be involved in it. Yeah. It's pretty fascinating to think like, I don't know what the ramifications are of like a city accepting that or how they would spend it.
Right.
But it also, the way that money could be deployed could also be, there could be some innovative stuff done there, right? Where people you vote with your dollars for how you want it to be reinvested in the community. So should be interesting to see. Miami's first, and I believe San Francisco's next. There might be some little mimetic warfare going on there too. So be interesting to see what happens.
Isn't it crazy? Because I don't know a lot about this, but I know Balaji, friend of the podcast, aka we're fans of him on this podcast. He's talked a lot about startup cities, and I haven't even read the full post. I bet Trung's probably read it already, but this feels like it has some overlap with that potentially. Like, do any of you know what that is?
He's involved in this too.
Oh,
check out Citycoin. He's I'm not sure whether he's an investor or a supporter. I don't want to assign any specific language, but his face is on the website.
Okay, fair enough.
Okay, you know what? We should actually. I feel like we need to do a proper deep dive on Citycoin. So why don't we just leave that, and then we'll come back to the listeners in future episodes with more thoughts.
I could get the guy that runs it on in a few weeks. That would be
amazing.
Cool.
That's perfect. All right.
Perfect.
More from Jack. What else is going on, man? Have you seen Vitalik? Are you looking forward to meeting him?
I saw some selfies with Vitalik already.
Yeah, is he on the menu? Or is he on the agenda?
I rushed straight from the airport to the NIA recording desk, boys. I haven't seen anything yet. But I'll be reporting in. Next week, I'll give you a little breakdown of what
tell us about the Uber drive. How was it going? How did the Uber to the hotel work out?
It's not crypto related at all. It was just a very crude conversation from... When you get in there, you sit in the back seat. It's really interesting, I think, how people judge. Like, I must be the type of person, or I must look like the type of person that someone's comfortable saying something like profane to just instantly, which is just an interesting thing to think about. It was just, I don't even know if I want to repeat half of the stuff you said about public consumption. It's a different culture, mate. Let's just put it that way.
Is this your first time in Miami?
No.
Okay.
That no was said with a lot of oomph. It was like, no, I've been in live in 2009 and 2012.
He's like, I know where I'm going tonight.
Last thing, Jack, any interesting people you're meeting there without I'm asking you to name drop, but I'm curious, people that we know, or like you're doing a recording with Sam Sean for the My First Million pod, I think, right?
Tomorrow,
Live.
I think so, yeah. I'm going to this thing. Do you know DJ Premier?
Yeah.
Oh my God, yeah, Gangstar.
Yeah, he's performing at this NFT thing tonight with a couple of dudes who I met through just messing around in the NFT space.
Unreal.
Couple big like Twitter, like Bitcoin account people. Lots of VCs that just trying to meet people that are in there.
It's work, man. It's work. You're there for work, man. It's work. It's work.
It's work. And then what else is going on? Sam's thing, the Citycoin thing tomorrow afternoon. Yeah, should be good.
So totally, when Celia asks you like how everything is, you're not going to mention any of the partying. You're just going to be, oh my God, it's so tiring. Had 8 meetings today and just totally bummed. I got it
in me, boys. I'm going to have to really be calculated about,
Yeah. Well, it's going to be one of those things.
Consumption and all of these different variables to play.
Well, you're in your early 30s now, man. You can't be doing that early 20s stuff anymore, man.
Don't have the gas that I used to, mate. Yeah.
Okay. There we go.
Water's in between, all of that good stuff.
All right, mate. Well, it's good. We got you on for the pod to kick it off, man. So, all right, where do we want to start, boys? I think we need to share Trung's Think Different, because for people who aren't following Trung on Twitter, this is one of his best ones. Let me see if I can just share my screen real quick here and just play it, and maybe we can do a live reaction to this. Because
I'm expecting it to get taken down by Apple.
Oh yeah, a few people messaged. I shared it in a few like groups I'm in. Let me just share my screen 1 second. And first thing, people were like, okay, yeah, this is getting taken down. All right, where are we?
Yeah, but you know what, man? Even if it gets taken down, that's content.
Yo, pro, can you guys see my screen?
Dude, I'm literally waiting for them to take it down, man. Oh, yeah, there we go, dude.
Wait, sorry, I messed up. All right.
Here's to the crazy ones. The misfits.
This is Steve Jobs actually narrating it.
The troublemakers.
So for those that aren't seeing, this is the famous Think Different ad from Steve Jobs and Apple.
See things different.
But the original video, they had like Martin Luther King Jr. and Gandhi.
No respect for the
I just put all the meme characters from 2021.
Disagree with them.
Sorry. Oh my God, dude, this is classic.
Oh, that's good, dude. We saw Kathy Wood. That's good enough, man.
Is ignore them. Because they changed.
All right. I don't know if we want to listen to the whole thing, but
we don't need to listen to the whole thing.
But this is brilliant, man. Good work on this.
Some may see them as the crazy.
So wait, do you guys want to do an over under? Or we okay? Let's do that. Is there a 100% chance that'll be taken down? I don't know if it's 100%.
No.
I think 95%, because you have the logo in there, right? You have the logo.
Yeah, I do at the end. So Microsoft.
I don't know if I was them. I think this is super. It's kind of a funny. I mean, they're getting free impressions, but obviously they don't really need that.
Yeah, they don't need that. Well, here's a question. What are the fair use rules? I mean, both of you guys work in the space. What are satires fair use? Parody is fair use, right?
Yeah, I don't know that much about it. Jack's had the experience.
I'm fascinated by this. I'm just like really interested in how, like, you could never even propose that in a commercial environment, and like in a way you can argue that it's not a commercial exercise, but in a way you can, right? It's like you have attached to commercial entities. It's just a weird, it's a weird thing, man. Like if you couldn't broadcast out on CNBC.
No.
It just would never ever happen. Their legal team would shit bricks if you even proposed doing that. So, but Twitter, for some reason, it's like
Trung's getting a little shook.
No, dude, I'll tell you what. I think there's a chance that because I've had DMCA requests. I'm sure a lot of everyone has, or a lot of people are listening. But like it'll just be a random ML one, right? Like they'll scrape the website and they'll just see, hey, you shouldn't be like, you can't just post this Fast and Furious clip without like telling or using or linking to it, right? Seriously, right?
Is that what you got done for before?
No, it was definitely a Hollywood movie where you got DMCA request.
Right.
It's like it's totally automated, and the Twitter locks your account and makes you click through a bunch of things. This one, because it's Apple, I suspect there could be some fuckery involved. This is Apple.
There's an ad, right? It's like it's different than a movie. It's like it's content that they want people to share in some odd way.
Well, like, that's the other part of it, right? So actually, I'm curious. I'll see if I'm very, very curious to see if they'll take this down or have a request or if I get locked or something. There's a chance that I suspect that it could happen. I mean, they probably have 1,000 lawyers that their entire job is to do this, right? Like last week, we talked about how they had one guy whose entire job was to negotiate glue prices.
They're going to have one guy watching Trung's Twitter feed for
the next year.
All right, well, fair enough. If you haven't seen it, go to Trung T Fan if my Twitter account still exists. But it's there. Let's move on to some topics.
All right, so let's tell people up front, because so we're going to probably talk about HSBC Bank being shut down in the US. That's something both Jack and I got emails about. We can talk about that. A little bit about DeFi as it relates to that. The creator economy stuff from Jack, housing market, Bored Ape, Yacht Club update. We've got a segment for history, Professor Phan. And it's like recent history, but the Amazon Prime stuff you explained really well a few days ago. That was pretty cool. And then potentially we'll talk a little bit about merch, a merch update, and take it from there. But why don't we just start with the HSBC thing, Jack? Because this is tangential to the crypto stuff we talk about, investing, the evolution of the kind of system. Again, not to call out HSBC in particular. This happens all the time to a certain extent. But both Jack and I think your first bank here was HSBC too, right?
Yeah.
I have no idea what happened, by the way. I didn't see this. What happened?
So Jack, do you know what happened? There was an email from them, right?
I have a rough idea. I just got an email, and I normally ignore all emails from banks that are like, blast out. They've been inviting me to webinars for the last 18 months. So I don't know why anyone would ever go to an HSBC webinar, but they sent out plenty of invites. I can't remember the subject line of this thing. It was like important update regarding your account or something. I opened it and it's like, just to let you know, we'll be shutting down HSBC in the US and your account is going to be moved to a different bank. Something was to that effect, right?
When?
Like a week ago, maybe?
A week ago they sent this.
And how long did they give you guys?
They didn't give a timeline, I don't think.
Yeah.
They just announced it.
And the account's still open. Like I could go into my online banking and stuff. But yeah, go on, Jack. Finish off the story.
And the way the news has reported it is like HSBC is just shutting down its retail banking operations for anyone or like any business with doing under 5 million turnover, I think, and like wealth management clients. So they're just like cleaning house, getting rid of all their retail locations, getting rid of all their retail accounts, and then just keeping like decent sized businesses. And I guess
I see what they're saying. They're only gonna keep the wealthy and personal banking businesses. That makes sense. I thought it was because I know in the past they've been slapped with multi-billion-dollar fines for like money laundering for Mexican cartels and fucking the Iranians.
Yeah, this is different.
Now they're doubling down on that. They're only serving those guys.
That's true, right? They're like, hey man, like this retail stuff isn't very profitable. Let's just keep working with the cartels. Yeah. I mean, that's literally what it reads, right? Like they're like, we will only work with high net worth individuals now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I got this same email too. And Jack and I were texting about this because when we first moved here, a lot of people don't have a social security number, right? And it's quite hard to do anything. You can't like get a bank account. You can't get a lease. Like there's a bunch of stuff you can't do. And they were one of the few banks that just let us do it because they're more like internationally savvy / whatever.
Now the cartel story seems to be making a lot more sense.
Yeah.
Hey, what is the source of your income? You know what? Don't even tell me. It doesn't even matter. $10 million sounds great.
But yeah, so anyway, they're supposed to be, the international bank. Like you see the ads in the airport and everything like that. And, it was pretty cool that they let us do that. But, and again, this is just my personal experience. Like I didn't have a great experience with them and I moved to Chase pretty quickly. But yeah, when this happened, I just kind of reminded me of like how tough it is to do basic banking stuff. Like most of the time I can do stuff on the Chase app and it works actually pretty well. But anything like this, I have to call them up. I have to confirm it's me. I'm trying to move out some money and it's just not straightforward at all. And it was just, that kind of came up this week and it kind of is on this backdrop of all this other crazy stuff we've been looking at. Where with a click of a button, you're moving stuff on the blockchain. And I'm not saying the blockchain solves this completely because like I like Chase Bank. Like I don't actually have a problem with Chase, but it was just kind of like this timing where I was down this rabbit hole of all this DeFi stuff and yield farming and crazy stuff on YouTube. And then on the flip side, I'm trying to move a couple grand out of an old account. Yeah. And I'm like, why can't I do this?
It's the friction, right? But let's say you have a friction meter from 0 to 100. 100 is the most friction, 0 is no friction. Yeah. Obviously, you're going to want some friction in the financial industry. Right?
That's fair. That's a fair point.
No, but I mean, like, but they definitely turned it way too far to the 100 side. And that's the opportunity for things like DeFi and crypto in general. Is like, let's bring it back down to like 60 or 50. But like, you don't want zero friction or the cartels are going to be running wild.
That's true. No, that's a good point. It's a good point. And I think definitely, yeah, I mean, the main thing is security. And like, I feel secure in both at the moment, but you need to kind of like know a little bit more what you're doing in the wild west of the blockchain. Whereas a bank, like I know I can go across the street and like get cash out.
I mean, that's the thing though. The physical locations, that's just trust in your head, right? Trust.
Unless you're in like Argentina in 2000 or whatever, and
fair enough.
You turn up and you can't take money out, which is an extreme case.
Western, well, I wouldn't say Western. The same shit's happening in Greece or like a lot of Eastern Europe, right?
Completely.
Although Eastern Europe would be the opposite of Western, so I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. All right, let's boogie
so anyway,
on.
We can move on, but yeah, was there anything else on that, Jack? Before we moved on,
I had one other anecdote. I tried to buy something with an account I held in the UK. I had money in the UK, and I was trying to buy something online with it, and it was a bar of gold bullion.
like did the UK police come to your door?
No, my phone rang instantly. I was like, hello. And they're like, we're putting a lock on your account. And I was like, no, it was me, but here's my details. Whatever. Like, no, you have to come to a branch to unlock your account. So I had to fly to England.
No.
Yeah, to get the money out of the account.
Oh my God.
Gold Bud Jack's coming out right now.
Wait. And this was ages ago, but
yeah,
but it's just kind of it's like a perfect anecdote because that's what I was trying to protect myself.
Well, we need to talk about how you're trying to buy gold bullion 8 years. Jax had no faith in the legacy financial system.
Put it under his pillow. Sleep under it.
Last week, we just not last week, but 2 weeks ago, you were talking about how you only started buying Bitcoin in 2017. It's like, bro, it looks like you lost faith in the existing financial system way before 2017.
I was reading Zero Hedge when I was, 25 or something. Saved up enough for a no, I'm saying not like a massive brick, just like a little slide.
Yeah, like a slip, right? Just one you can travel with. Dude, those bricks are like worth 50, 60K, right? Like my buddy, his family's in the gold mining biz, and you go to their apartment and very well-off family, and they literally just have a brick in the middle of the hallway, like a display brick. And like, how much is that? It's like, that's 80 grand. Just an 80 grand display brick. Hilarious, man.
Yeah, that was my
gold. No. Bitcoin's never replacing gold, bro. You can't buy that slip. You can't go to a branch and buy that little slip of gold.
Mate, they both got friction though. The Coinbase $750 limit. It's all tough, mate.
Oh God. All right, fair enough. Fair enough.
Life. All right, boys. So next one, Jack, you've tweeted this out recently about the creator economy, and I think we tried to talk about this a few times before, but we didn't have any reference point. Do you remember this? I just shared the link with you. Yeah. All right. So it was about the creator economy is the unbundling of value creation.
Yeah. So
you had some thoughts on this. So yeah, go for it.
Yeah. The idea that, creator economy gets thrown around a lot. Nobody really knows what it stands for, what it means. But I think with the backdrop of like crypto and decentralized autonomous organizations, there's Trung's like model of the 0 to 100. There is the like 0 is the like multinational massive corporation, and then 100 is like 10 anonymous people building some enormous business. Did you guys see the tweet about like Wells Fargo versus Uniswap? I think I forwarded that like ages ago, but Wells Fargo has 20,000 employees, Coinbase has 2,000 employees, and Uniswap has 20 employees.
Dude, how viral did that tweet go? That sounds like a very viral format.
Yeah, it's a good format. I think it did well. But that idea of the unbundling of a function or a feature being possible now in a Discord channel versus like a multinational corporation is pretty fascinating. So like even your Twitter account, Trung, as an example of like CNBC or any business news channel, it just has this massive amount of infrastructure to put on a show 24 hours a day, right? And there are Twitter accounts now the size of yours that have, probably more engagement than some segments on CNBC, I would say.
Right.
And you just have these things that are working and can kind of on I want to say their last legs. I mean, the gold bullion talking a little bit, but the idea that you can have these really narrow executions of things that are like already working in the old world. And that's like, I think a frame for the creator economy is just unbundling old media. What else was I going to say? Let me pull this tweet storm.
Well, people were talking about how, there's going to be a guy like Mr. Beast, right? He'll be a billionaire. I mean, he has actually big infrastructure around himself. I think he has 50 employees.
It's crazy.
Yeah, so like him, but he's a one-man media company, right? And he doesn't. To Jack's point, even if he has 50 employees, how many employees does a Viacom have, right? And this guy will have way more reach than Viacom.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like he's got 50. Like, what's stopping him from having 500 or 5,000? Like,
right. But the point is that the reason that's stopping him is he's building it from the ground up. It's not legacy. He realized he doesn't need 500. He can run it.
That's a good point.
But I guess the there's still that like critical mass conversation, or like your organization gets to a certain size, and then when you have a second layer of management, that's when stuff just starts to go pear-shaped, right? Or that's when the efficiency curve starts to level out a little bit, and it's just maybe like new iterations of organizations just need less of that to function. Cuban tweeted about DAOs recently. Maybe we could pull that up on the screen, but he said the way DAOs are functioning, it's like there's enough potential there to start making corporate scale companies nervous, because you can really shift the incentive structure around.
You sent it to us. That Cuban is going deep in the crypto now.
Yeah.
He's really in it.
Yeah, is he going to be in Miami?
I don't know. Someone tweeted this is a really interesting thing about Ethereum specifically, but someone like broke down all of the transactions that Mark Cuban's wallet was making, so that like the level of transparency into like what he believes in is like, it's quite literally like, here, this is where his money is.
So if you wanted to follow the Mark Cuban playbook, you could be, okay, wow, he's like doing this set of NFTs, right? I don't know if he's in board Ape Yacht Club, which we should talk about for new listeners. That's a random crypto that Jack's gone into. Okay, Bilal just pulled up a screen share here of Cuban. Let's read through this. Go ahead, Bilal.
Yeah, so Mark Cuban tweeted this. He said, the future of corporations could be very different as DAOs take on legacy businesses. It's the ultimate combination of capitalism and progressivism. Entrepreneurs that enable DAOs can make dollars. If the community excels at governance, everyone shares an upside. Trustless can pay. Like, someone unpack that for me, because that's
hold on a second. Let's first of all, let's just for a lot of listeners, DAO stands for Decentralized Autonomous Organization. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So Jack, can you explain to us what DAO is? You're the resident crypto guy here.
Yeah. I'm sure a lot of crypto people would wince that I'm the like authority.
Well, between the three of us, so you definitely are the authority.
but like the lens that I look at it through is like my old corporate experience. So in the world of advertising, it's like a super inefficient way to get a message to market. So, to do a campaign that's going to get 10 million impressions is going to cost you $20 million and 2,000 people hours and like X number of meetings and this and that. And that's like all the layers of bureaucracy that are making, like, just inflating that, right? And the way things have been done versus like a decentralized autonomous organization could be like making memes in a Discord channel, and everyone's like, that one's good, we're going to launch that one. And then it goes like, they put it out to market, they see the performance of it, they can adjust, post another one. It's just, and everyone can share in the upside too. So if I'm a member of a DAO and I have a slice of the ownership, it's way less friction to give someone ownership via a token than it is like via stock grant and vesting schedule and all this other stuff. So you could probably make the argument that you're not going to start a car company as a DAO overnight, but like media, software, all the things that require a lot less permission, feels like there's big arbitrage opportunities in those worlds for like, kids essentially to come and build stuff like Uniswap.
Could we actually talk about, you guys will probably know more about this, but one of the first decentralized autonomous organizations, it's very controversial, right? It was the Ethereum venture fund, where they kind of put all this money into the fund. And this was what caused the split of Ethereum, right?
Yeah.
Is essentially to set up a venture fund where it was supposed to be dictated via people that had invested in this DAO, and it was all supposed to be done by code. And it's like, if X amount vote, we're going to invest in this. But it looked like somebody, I'm looking at the Wikipedia here, somebody transferred out 4 million of the 12 million Ether that was in this decentralized autonomous organization fund. That's worth 50 million at that time, probably way more now. But that forced basically Vitalik and the Ethereum community to decide, they hard forked it, where they said, you know what, we're rewinding this transaction. And that's actually when people say that Ethereum's decentralized, they always go back to, well, what about that time that Vitalik and a bunch of like the original community decide to hard fork what happened with this DAO that kind of went wild. So I think that's probably worth mentioning. If anybody wants to look into the history of DAOs, that's 5 years ago. So it's probably much, there's a code, there's an error in how that DAO was written. I'm sure there's been a lot of improvements since, but I know that was a really famous example.
Yeah, I think what's like interesting and weird about it is it doesn't necessarily require these like crypto assets for this stuff to happen. Like,
okay, this is interesting.
But they're like I think they're the instrument that have made people think of it. So you could technically build a DAO with like dollars and Stripe and all of that kind of stuff, but it's like you don't have the tokenomics of it that really, really tightly tie the incentive structures together. You probably could build that somehow, but your point is interesting because it's like if Ethereum is a DAO and then there's a DAO built on top of Ethereum and then there's a DAO built on top of that DAO, right? It's like the rules still like have a ripple effect back to their origin, and a lot of these comments, like when you just refer to an acronym and be like, "This is going to be the future of everything," is a little. It's a little lightweight and not really true.
Lightweight Cuban.
No, I mean, I'm saying that there's it's just a really interesting distinction to me. It's like, is it the asset class that makes humans work together a certain way, or is it the incentive structure? I think it's the incentive structure, and most of the incentive structure is not necessarily. People will probably not agree with me on this, is not necessarily only facilitated by currency X. Does that make sense?
Right. There's reputation incentives, right? There's social proof incentives. There's other incentives that can be baked into this, right?
Yeah, like I guess the feedback loops and the incentive loops in a DAO that's built on a cryptocurrency are faster than, say, working at even a Silicon Valley startup that uses, you have X% and your shares vest in 4 years.
I just want to say there's also the element that we talk about, that you alluded to, is the quote unquote decentralized nature of crypto assigns more authority and kind of legitimacy to this type of DAO, right? It's like there is no one that can say that this isn't right. It's like it's truly a decentralized organization because the unit that we're using as account and incentive and payments is itself decentralized. So I think that is actually very important.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think maybe I don't
know how much deeper we want to get into this. We probably want to bring an expert into it, like outside of Jack, who is an expert. But I actually want to drop in one thought about the bureaucracy thing. This is a little bit tangential, but I think it's an interesting topic. I previously wrote about how Netflix pays top dollar in the Valley. Bilal, you probably know this, right? They pay, like Netflix will pay top dollar for engineers, right? And the reason they do it is it's touching on Jack's point of bureaucracy and how the bigger an organization gets, the more layers there are that can slow an organization down. But so Netflix in 2009 had this really famous PowerPoint presentation about its culture, and like halfway through the deck, they go through why they pay high performing engineers, even ones that may or may not be difficult to work with. They're like, we're willing to pay for top talent, even if it means that we have to quote unquote deal with them, because the frame they use is this: in a physical world industry, say manufacturing, right? The top person in manufacturing, the top guy, can only be maybe 2x or 3x better than an average guy. But in a creative field, which is not physically constrained, such as engineering, writing, music, the top guy can be 10 times, 20, 30, 40, 50 times better than
more leverage
the average guy. Yeah, way more leverage. So they're like, and the industry that they're in is obviously technology and creativity and media. And they're like, this is their challenge. How do we grow Netflix, the organization, from 100 to 1,000 to 10,000 employees? And we can't operationalize it, right? Because in manufacturing, you can put in processes, and that's very good to have. But you can't put in processes in as many processes in a creative industry, because that kind of defeats the entire purpose. And the employees that you have will resist and fight back against that. So they're literally looking at it. You probably can't see my hands here, but they're like, as our industry gets more complex, unlike manufacturing, we can't put processes in to solve for that complexity. The only thing we can do is pay top dollar for talent and let them figure it out. But a lot of that talent are going to be fucking assholes, right? They're going to be very difficult to work with, but we're going to deal with it. And we're going to be so cutthroat about who we let in that door, because we can't use like a car manufacturer processes to speed up our industry or make it better. We have to use this kind of nexus of creativity, and we're willing to pay for it. So I just want to talk about that, because I thought it was fascinating how they looked at it. And obviously it bore out for them, right? From the 2009 when that deck came out and they kind of institutionalized their thinking around it, they've grown 10, 20, 30x, right? So thought that was super interesting.
That's a great point. Well, Jack, can I ask
Amazon just hire on all their top engineers.
Yeah. Well, Jack, I was going to ask you, because you ran a lot of like creative teams and like worked in the creative field for a long time, a little bit different to like coding. And Trung, I don't know in your previous jobs if you had some similar experience like hiring people, but I'm just curious, like, for you, does that kind of sound about right? Like what was it like for you? Because you're an agency world, which doesn't have the margins of a Netflix or Amazon or whatever, or doesn't have the scalability anyway.
Right.
So I'm curious, like, but for advertising, it's even more so the case, because the creative campaigns come from these moments of brilliance and the snowball effect with a bunch of really talented people coming together. So, like, how was that when you were trying to hire people and stuff in the past?
Yeah, it's a really weird game. The shops that I worked for, majority of the profit came from the least creative work, which makes total sense.
Interesting.
Right? Like you pursue creative work and you even take a loss on some clients to attract the whale enterprise stuff that nobody wants to work on.
Interesting.
Like, we'll work with like sexy car manufacturer X so that we can get telecom conglomerate Y to come in and do like every banner ad running on every single device across every single Western nation. You get some obscene contract for that, and it's like really brutal grunt work. Essentially, it's like resizing banner ads and stuff.
Or like you're optimizing
in the bin.
You're converting by 0.1% better, right? And you're helping them do it.
Yeah. So, and then it's interesting because you like, I was really jaded about this when I first got in, and nobody, like, whether people told me and I didn't get it to begin with, it's like you don't really understand how the creative agency makes money. It's like the sexy work does not make us money. The sexy work gets us meetings for work that's going to make us money. Generally speaking, I think there may be exceptions to that rule.
That's a great point.
the world that I was in was definitely like, you know, you had these beastie contracts that are just like nobody wants to put that work in their portfolio, but that's the only reason you have a job.
Like literally, I love how you say it. Telecoms and utilities, like they don't have a creative bone in their entire organization, right? But all they have is cash flow. They literally just have cash flow because they're government mandated like monopolies, right? And there's like let's just pay somebody else to do this. That's hilarious.
That's a great. I think that's a bigger thing though. Like the sexy companies to forget to work for, but I'm thinking of in media. Like if you think of a Vice. Again, I don't know all the details. Vice 10 years ago was this kind of sexy brand doing all this edgy stuff. Like all the people I knew who worked there, most of them didn't love it. Like they liked being a part of Vice, and I'm sure they loved some of the work they did. And it depends on who you ask, obviously. But just like the pay is normally not the best. And they can afford to do that because they're like, well, you work at Vice, you work in this cool place. And you're going to be able to leverage this brand. So it's a similar thing in the agency world as a whole, where you're like, well, we got Ferrari and we got XYZ, but now we've got like BT or whatever. You know what I mean?
I think I think one of Vice's big contracts was with Intel actually. But I think it exactly nails Jack's point. These guys are doing
that's where you make the money.
Craziest Fortune 100 friendly content for decades, right? But then they start crushing it and just they have mind share. And they did this it was either IBM or Intel, but they had this really big splashy campaign that I don't know if it was effective, but it hits to Jack's point. It's the sexy stuff gets you the real money makers, which is not sexy. Interesting. I had no idea.
I think maybe this actually loops back into my Uber driver conversation this afternoon. He was telling me about Robert De Niro's divorce settlement. And he apparently has like a $300,000 a month commitment to an ex-wife of his or something. And he's like, I don't know where he's getting this information from. So, you know, maybe completely false. But yeah. But he said, he's going to have to do a few more movies now just to like pay the bill. Right. And
that's
you
hilarious.
think about the movies that like a lot of these people probably loved producing, I bet don't have a commercial correlation. Like Avengers 9 is probably making you like a absolutely disgusting amount of money versus like I'm gonna go on Broadway and celebrate my love of the craft.
Right.
Even taking a step further, like a lot of actors, they want to do the play and it's pure or a film like or whatever. You know, the top end make money, but for like a mediocre actor on the curve, like they make $50,000 from a commercial, right? Doing it in a day or whatever. And they don't want to be like the dude on the cover of like the random fries or whatever, or like fast food chain. But like, that's what pays the bills. But they'll do it. Yeah. I mean, I would do it too.
Well, Bilal, actually, I want to turn the tables around on you. So I never hired engineers. You worked at Google. Tell me about what I just said about Netflix, because Google is obviously one of the people they're competing with to hire this talent. So did you observe this engineering talent? How did you view it? How did you work with them? And I had some follow-up questions, but I'm curious just to hear from your experience at Google.
Yeah, it's a good point. I mean, so I would say it was just my experience, but it was going from January 2010, which is probably very different to today. So when I started, there were like 18,000 employees. Now there's like 100,000 plus, maybe 150. I don't know. So I think over time, the type of person who's been attracted to that has changed. So that's one point. But yeah, overall, the people I work with were really smart. Obviously, they, you know, the way they get in, they only hire from certain schools in the beginning, and they're very high IQ people. But over time, what I will say is early on, the people that I was working with, which weren't engineers mostly, there were a lot of entrepreneurial people, and that was something we were all attracted to, which now you might not think of that. But 10 years ago or 11 years ago, people would think of the 20% project, right? Like you're doing your core job, and then the 20% project was a real thing. I had a bunch of them. They're really like 120% projects because you do them on top of your work. But people like, I think Gmail came out of that, and Chrome originally, and a bunch of different projects. And even on our side, there's people I know who created little tools that went and scaled to, you know, the whole company. From that era. But now I think the people that are attracted to it, like I work with startups and obviously have a lot of friends still at Google, and this is not or a good or a bad thing, or like passing judgment, but most of the engineers I know who go to Google by now are kind of like, well, I'm I want more of a safe job. I want to. I know
it's
I'm
a
going to
total,
get paid.
dude. It's a total.
Yeah.
You're making 200,000-400,000 a year as an engineer.
They're probably making like 300 to 500K with stock-based compensation.
Well, here's the best part.
Yeah,
you don't even. Dude, this is the best. I just want to add to this, and you tell me whether it's true. The best part of being a Google engineer now, it doesn't fucking matter what you do. The machine's gonna keep going, right? No, literally, you could go. Imagine being a new hire at Google making 250K. You're not gonna be able to wreck this company, right? There's nothing you can do.
But I would say that it depends, because there's some people who the soul of them gets sucked out of it, and because they actually want to do something where they see impact. And at the same time, to be honest about it, there's also people who just like being part of something bigger. Like, you can work on stuff there that you can't work on elsewhere, because you're literally serving 2 billion people. And if you're like someone who loves like infrastructure or security or, even creating a new product on Android, that is actually pretty cool. Like, I saw it go from 4% to 80% market share. And the people who are working on that, they'll never get to work on something like that again. So I think nowadays it gets a bit of a bad rep, because people are like, oh, fuck the big company. But there's pros and cons, and there's plenty of people who prefer that life, and there's nothing wrong with that. And honestly, there's a lot of people that go to startups and have a terrible time as well. They get promised options. They don't actually make much out of it.
Startup life is not sexy, man. There's
so it just completely depends, but yeah.
Okay, so I think this is episode 2. So 4 or 5 episodes back, Jack, who lives on the edge of the internet. I mean, that's what we should call this podcast, non-investment advice. We live on the edge of the internet, and we refers to Jack.
The royal we.
Yeah. Jack's been getting into random NFT projects, and he pitched us one called Bored Ape Yacht Clubs. It's literally just funny cartoon-looking apes, and he says he has a good feeling about this. And Jack, tell us, how many 1,000% is it up since you got into it?
So I didn't get in on the ground floor of it, but you could mint them for 0.08 Ethereum, which is like $200, I think, at the time. And that's with Ethereum just over $2,000. And a couple of days ago, the floor on them, so the cheapest one you could buy was 1 Ethereum. So that's 10x plus. It's still volatile, but we talked about it a couple of episodes ago. You're starting to see the same things that influence the AMCs and the GMEs of the world on a smaller scale. You have the NFT thing is super interesting because there's a visual component to it, and people can attach their identity to it. So I tweeted out about it the other day. It's like loads of people talk about communities on the internet, right? It's like, I'm building a community-based business, and what that means in a lot of cases is like I have a Twitter account, not really like a business that's intrinsically built around a community. But this Bored Ape Yacht Club has just a ridiculously engaged Discord channel. You can't even keep up with what's going on in there. There's 50 channels. It's just like pinging along all day.
How many people? How many people would that be across the 50 channels?
I could switch it up. Probably, I just look. There's 650 online right now. I can't even scroll down to where the
amazing
where the thing is. But I would say thousands of people in this Discord, and the right person buys in, changes their Twitter profile picture to this thing. I think these things can definitely just like a flavor of the month type thing as well. It's like sometimes a new project can come out and completely dive when speculators move elsewhere. But these guys have had a good run, and they've got like a bit of critical mass behind the community. It seems like it's got some room to run.
Well, the big one you mentioned, I think last week, Roham, the guy from Dapper Labs, CEO of Dapper Labs, he pumped it up.
NBA Top Shot dude.
Yeah, he pumped it up on Twitter, which is always good.
That's a big one. I think a couple of big punk accounts, when people who had the CryptoPunk account switched to
Bored Ape. Oh my goodness.
It's big news in the crypto in the NFT world.
So speaking of edge of the internet, you guys mentioned something. I think the edge of the internet stuff excites a lot of our listeners. I've gotten some messages about it. I've also gotten some messages to say to stop doing it. So I'm gonna I'm getting a lot of mixed.
Is that
It's
from
like
your
us,
boss?
right?
No, joking.
We tell people it's not investment advice, and then we just give investment advice all the time. A lot of mixed messages everywhere. This podcast is very full of mixed messages. But you guys mentioned something about .btc. Bilal, was it? Can you guys talk about that? I have no idea what this is. This sounds like another edge of internet thing.
Oh, mate.
Jack, can we talk about this yet? Because
Well,
is this going to get muted?
No,
we're waiting for
so
anything
basically,
to turn up. So go on.
We don't know what's going on, but we can talk a little bit about what it is as a project. So you can have a .eth address. Trung, are you familiar with that?
Yeah, I saw a lot of people like Gary Tan changed it to hit Vitalik change.
Right.
Yeah.
So instead of like 0x8952654 when you're trying to send a thing, you just say trung.eth. Bang. It will send payments or NFTs or whatever else.
It's like a cash tag. It's like a cash
vanity
tag.
domain for Ethereum. This .btc is the same thing on the Bitcoin blockchain, and btc.us was a site to register domains, came out yesterday. And when I saw it, I was like, oh God, this is like 10 minutes ago, this got tweeted out. Someone sent it to me on Discord. I was like, this is a generational buying opportunity for scarce digital real estate. Right? It's like what domains don't exist?
Like Michael Saylor vibe, because Michael Saylor did this back in the day with
the email, with the websites.
He had alarm.com, emma.com,
hope.com.
Michael. So I was like, this is my moment. I canceled my meetings and I'm putting them in.
Yo, we need to have Celia on the next episode.
She will tell a good story because she came in the door and I was like, she brought something in. And I was like, put it down, get your laptop.
No, hold on.
Double up the time.
Hold on. Before you finish this story, Jack, we need to talk a couple episodes back. You were talking about Bday yacht clubs. You had like your credit card. You ran up the stairs past Celia. You're just like, what are you doing? I was like, I can't talk right now. I got to pay for this Bday yacht club. Forgot my credit card.
Yeah,
dude, amazing. So you pull your laptop. Okay, so what happened?
Yeah, so I'm looking for thinking about, okay, what addresses are going to be...
HODL. HODL's got to be number one.
I got 21 million.btc. Well, this is all TBD because we've just found out that it's one per wallet and the site was broken. So these hundreds of them went through and we all got billed, but I don't think we're going to get any of them. So I told Bilal about it just after.
And just to paint a picture from my side real quick, Jack, so not to turn this into a thing, but it was my birthday yesterday. And
dude, turn it. Yo, happy birthday. Holy shit, man.
Yeah. No,
dude, hold on. Yo, Bilal, fuck off. Fucking Bilal, I'm not going to turn this. Hey, man, hey, guys, sorry, I don't want to turn this into a thing, but it was my birthday. Yeah. Okay, fuck.
Well, I was going to tell you that I was 33.
How old are you?
33.
You're 33? Okay, so it was your birthday yesterday. You're on btc.us. Tell us what happened.
This is what I was going to say, because I'm literally about to go out for lunch for my birthday. Well, like a pre-birthday dinner lunch thing, right? And then what's the name? Jack messaged me and we're talking about this, and I'm like, oh, come on, at least I need to get my name. So I jump on. And that's the reason I mentioned my birthday was because I'm like, I should be out doing stuff, but I was like so drawn to this that I'm just like, okay, now I'm here. Kanye West.btc. Buy the fucking dip.
God.
I got buy the fucking dip. I got BTFD, crazy, like some Brooklyn.btc, like a bunch of these really, really good ones. And now I sent it to Jack this morning, my bank statement, and it's just all of the I've been charged. It's
unbelievable.
All of these, and none of them are showing up. So
how much were they each, or like ballpark?
Only $5.
Oh my God!
Yeah.
This is so now this whole thing was just a fucking not gonna say scam, but we have no idea what's gonna happen.
It could be that we only get the first one registered, because it does. But the annoying thing was it didn't tell you, hey, you can only buy one. Like, oh, now you tried the 110th time. Like, stop doing this. Go eat lunch.
That's called working capital, boys. they're gonna hold on to that money for a couple.
Yeah.
They're gonna build that might be the greatest working capital hack ever. No, let me put in my working capital joke. What's up?
A Cybertruck pre-order level.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. We should talk about the greatest working capital moves ever. Cybertruck, or all the Tesla ones where you put down a down payment. One of them. Amazon, for its first decade of existence, mastered working capital because they could pay their suppliers later than the customers paid them, right? So they had negative working capital. So whoever whoever was studying business history launched BTC.US.
Can I just pull up the one was my favorite. Jack, do you mind if I mention some of these, or is it?
Go for it.
All right, my favorite one was petershift.btc. That was, I literally laughed out loud. I was at lunch and I literally laughed out loud. I was like, this is too good. Then we also got Jesus and Christ.btc.
Oh my God.
Like there was some pretty good, there was some in here that we were going to get a knock from a few people. So
well, guys,
I don't think any of these have gone through.
I got IRS.btc.
Okay, hold on. Let me ask you a question. If you guys can only keep one, is it your own names or do you want some of these ones that will pop, like Bilal and Jack? If you can only keep one address, what is it going to be?
Oh man,
you got to call it. Got to call it for the listeners.
I had mail.btc.
Okay, so which one is it going to be?
Jack. I would still have Jack.btc.
Okay, what about you, Bilal?
Yeah, I'm looking at, because I honestly I can't even remember half the ones I bought. Only record I have is that I sent them to Jack. So I had the oil.btc, Lagos, Nigeria, Brooklyn, Arsenal, Kanye West, like a bunch of these.
I think Kanye is very.
That was good. I would just give it to their team. Obviously, I'm not trying to like sit on that. But anyway, no, I mean, I know I also had White House just for jokes, but anyway,
HFSP, that would have been a good one to.
I don't. Oh yeah. I would say the BTFD was pretty good because like it's Bitcoin related. It might not even be worth the most, but I just like that phrase. And that could easily be, if it was just a wallet address like ETH, that's quite a cool one to have. If it was a domain name, it's actually pretty good as well. But I don't think it was necessarily the most valuable, but I was just saying for fun, probably that one. Okay,
so to summarize, Jack would do Jack.btc. Bilal will do by the fucking nip, BTFD.btc.
Probably.
So I actually have a funny domain related story. I don't know if you guys remember, you know Patrick Mahomes, the superstar quarterback for the Kansas City Chiefs, like one of the most marketable athletes in North America, signed a $500 million
He's an
contract.
arm ball player, yeah?
Yeah, he's an arm ball player. His brother became a bit of a TikTok star. His brother's name is Jackson Mahomes. I own JacksonMahomes.com.
What? That's ridiculous.
I tried to give it to him. I tried to give it to Jackson, and we even exchanged some messages. Never ended up happening. But if anybody knows Jackson Mahomes, I have your domain. I just want to give it to you, man. It's all yours. I'm not going to squat on it. I am squatting on it, but that's not my intention. But why don't we end on this note? Bilal, 33rd birthday. Okay, why don't you know some of these tweet storms that go really viral? 33 lessons I learned from 33 years of existence.
I know.
All right. So I want to say two things. I have two questions to wrap up today's episode and in regards for Bilal. Number one is, what did you eat for lunch yesterday and did you get drunk? So two questions. So answer those and then I'll move on to the next one.
I did not get drunk. No, I had, honestly, the lunch was pretty simple because it was a big dinner. So the lunch was just a sandwich that I had nearby. So it wasn't
okay, what was the dinner? And
the dinner was
there?
A burger and a pizza split and like some starters from, I don't know if you know this place, Emily do you know Emily, Jack? There's one in Brooklyn and there's one in the West Village. So I was in the West Village one, but it's pretty insane. I mean, it's an overpriced burger and pizza. It's like a $29 burger. And
so you and I'm guessing since you only got a burger and pizza, you went with your girlfriend and just two.
Yeah. Split it up and had a slice this morning just before this.
What type of pizza?
For the leftover.
What type
it was
of pizza?
like one of the main ones. It's got like honey on it and like some.
Oh, dude, the honey!
Stuff.
Oh my!
Oh, it's ridiculous.
Yo, I found out that you could put honey on fucking pizza.
The spicy one too, with
dude,
a kick.
We need to rank. Oh, the spicy honey. Oh my god, dude. Okay, hold on. I got to talk about food here. So honey on pizza ranks up there with. Have you guys ever had Wendy's where you eat the Frosty? They're like they're like ice cream with the French fries. They advertise it. Yeah. You can dip French fries in the Frosty, so that's up there with the honey pizza. So, anyways, that's my tangent. But last question then, and then Jack, you should pepper him too for a birthday question. You're 33 years old, Bilal. What do you want to accomplish in the next 365 days? Give us one thing. One thing.
Dude, Do you know what I love about Trung? Trung's like the joke guy on Twitter, but deep down he's this serious guy.
Don't
You tried posting something serious yesterday, and people's comments were so funny.
Oh my god, dude! This one is hilarious. We got to talk about this. I put there's 6 charts that just show the time you spend with various people in your life. So friends, family, coworkers, and then just by yourself. Every chart goes down. Like the older you get, the less time you spend with everything. And then the only chart that goes up is alone, and it goes up and to the right. And fuck, since I have so many, we together have so many DGen followers, the comments go, hey man, how do you invest in that one chart that goes up and to the right? And the chart is about how you're spending more time alone. And some dude, and then another person relabels the alone chart as Robin Hood. It was so fucking funny, man. Yeah, that one right there. Dude. Oh, hysterical. The older you get, the more time you spend with Robin Hood because you've fucking driven everyone else from your life away. So, yeah, I'm hitting you, Bilal. Don't think that just because you got the Creator Lab podcast, I can't hit you with the questions, motherfucker. I will hit motherfuckers with questions.
No, do you know what I'll have to do? I have to do, now that we've talked about it, I have to write a thread of the 33 lessons I've learned.
Yes, you do.
Or something like that. And
I'll
I have
retweet
to
that
say,
shit.
one of the things that I should do more, to be fair, you two are masters of Twitter, and I don't spend as much time like writing actually stuff on Twitter, and I should do. That's something I should probably spend a little bit more time on this year, if I'm being honest. The next
growth hack. Honestly,
growth hack is one thing, but honestly, it's more like dedicating time to actually write stuff. Because when I've written a few decent
You've had
threads,
some bangers. You've had some real bangers.
They've spread pretty well, and that's good. But that's one thing. But honestly, it sounds like a bit of a cheesy answer, but like I just want to keep doing what I'm doing. Like I'm actually I've been in quite a happy balance. This is probably the most balanced I've been in a long time, in terms of time, energy, work, relationships, like everything. So just getting back to that, and then just like being able to enjoy stuff again, because the last year was kind of shit, you know. So being able to travel, I think I'll probably do a big 3 to 6 month trip again. Where? I don't know. Maybe in Asia. I don't know. Like last time we did Argentina for 2 months, and Mexico City for a month and stuff. So I want to do more of that, which will probably come like early next year if that happens. So yeah, that would be cool to do. And then I want to keep doing stuff that's fun, like this and the podcast I do, Create Lab. So I'm not really like, I used to be a big 5-year, 10-year plan person when I was 18. And now I'm very much like year to year, just keep doing what I'm doing. So
I love it.
I don't know if that answered, but that's kind of the honest truth right now.
That's beautiful, man. What, Jack, do you want to hit him with anything? Or do you want to leave any parting words about how hard you're about to destroy Miami?
I'm taking it easy. That's on the record.
Okay. So people, you need to listen to next episode. There's a very high... well, actually, we got Packy McCormick, the exceptional writer of the Not Boring Substack newsletter. He's here to talk Ether, but I feel like we're going to have Celia on one of these episodes to talk about these 3-4 days.
That'd be great, man.
Live reaction.
And the Bitcoin, the BTC addresses, man. I would love to hear what she had to say about that, because she's supportive in the moment, but I'd love for you to get to the bottom of it. Strong.
I love it.
What we'll do is we'll send while Jack's in Miami doing stuff right now, we'll message her separately.
Oh yeah, you know what? We should actually do a separate episode. That will be fucking hysterical. We should do a separate episode of Celia for 10 minutes and just append it.
Throw it in,
to this one. Fuck, maybe we should do that actually. That would be genius, dude.
That would be pretty good. Got some ideas here. All right.
That's not bad actually.
All right, boys.
You know what?
Go on.
Hold on a second. That's perfect. Let's see if we can pull that off. We'll append it to this one because this one's a little bit shorter. It's 1 by 120.
Look at Jack's face.
What, you want to call it now?
No. We want to do it when we need to know the experience after the Miami. After 4 days you've been gone. So we might have to hit her up on a Tuesday or a Wednesday. Cool. All right, dude. That's beautiful. Okay, amazing, guys. Thank you.
All right, boy. That was fun. Was there anything else? Parting words? Jack, enjoy Miami, mate.
Happy birthday, Bilal. I didn't have any profound questions to ask you, mate, but
that's all good.
Happy birthday.
Trung, I just know that Trung's deep down that cheesy guy that he hates on Twitter, but he has it and he shields it with his jokes.
Do you know how fucking hard it is for me to like those words to come out of my mouth and like, no, dude, I have no problem being sentimental. I just can never become fortune cookie guy. That's Jack's. I'm not going in Jack's lane. Jack, I'm not coming in your lane, bro.
Stay away, mate. Stay out. It's crowded.
All right, boys. So let's call next week. We can talk about the merch update. I think today we might be running a little late, so I don't know.
Yeah, we're all good, guys. That's perfect.
All right, let's cut it off here. But yeah, we'll have Packy McCormick next week. If you're listening to this first time, welcome and subscribe on Spotify, Apple, and YouTube.
Follow us on
share
Twitter.
this out. Follow us on Twitter. What's the new handle? NIA Desk, is it?
Correct.
NIA Desk. Love that. So yeah, follow us on there as well, and then we'll see you next week.